Hi, my name is Yuva, and I'm here today to talk about how to use SeLion for the mobile app automation. So, any automation test that is use SeLion to interact with the mobile app should be annotated with the at mobile test annotation. So, this specific annotation tells SeLion that this test case is mobile specific and needs a emulator to be spawned. An app should be loaded before automating the UI actions. So automation support for both Android and iOS apps. One more interesting thing is that CLine integrates popular open source test automation frameworks such as Selendroid, iOS driver, APM that are specific to the mobile automation. So the user has a choice to specify what is the uh, framework which he or she wants to use. And the uh, support for page objects has also been incorporated for mobile app automation. So whenever the interaction with the app has been automated, so all the elements resolve to a generic type such as web elements. In case of CLine, this generic elements or the elements that are recognized are mapped to a specific element names and the actions and gestures are exposed via such elements. More of it later. And using CLine, you can also run your mobile app automation against Sauce Labs. So let's get started on a demo of interacting with the iOS app using the APM. So the test name is APM iOS demo test, and the test method name is test native app. So if you notice closely, this is a test method not only annotated with at test, but since this is a mobile specific test case, it has also been annotated with at mobile test, followed by some of the specific parameters like app path, device, and device type. So app path points to an app called International Mountains app, which is bundled as part of our CLine archetype, which I'll be using it for a demo purpose, followed by the device on which the app needs to be launched, and the device type is iPhone simulator. So there arises a obvious question like where do I specify the type of driver that needs to be launched, whether it's Selendroid, APM, or iOS driver. So let's take a look at a suite file. In case of a suite file, I have additional parameters like mobile node type, which specifies it to be APM, followed by the Selenium host parameter to be localhost. This means that since I'm using APM currently, I have spawned a APM server locally, and so my Selenium host is localhost, and the default port on which APM listens to is 4723. So this particular test I'll be running now is the APM iOS demo test. So this particular demo is going to load the International Mountains app, interact with the element, take a screenshot, and get log the screenshot, and finally finish the execution. So once I launch the suite file, so CLine talks to APM, and this will in turn launch a iOS emulator, which is of iOS 9.2 as specified in the at mobile test annotation. So this will load the app. So once the app is loaded, so CLine will print the device and type and the Selenium version, and it will start to interact with the app. So all the interactions to the app are driven via the APM, which runs underneath, and CLine talks to APM. So the execution is done, and here is my test report, which says the suite name is APM Mobile Suite, test is APM iOS test, And this is a screenshot. So this is in case of interacting with the native app. Now I'll disable this test and move on to interacting with the Safari browser which is present on the device. And this time for a change, I want to run this test on an iPad. So if I run this now, again SeLion talks to APM trying to spawn a iPad simulator, it'll load a app and it will drive all the UI actions. So there you go. We have an iPad now as specified in the mobile test annotation parameters. So the Safari will be launched. So we just interacted with it, searched a name called cheese. So this is the case. In this case, I have not logged any screenshots. So if you notice the device name here, CLine would have told it is spawn on a device, iPad. So this is just a demo of how CLine uses APM to interact with the app. Now, if you take a closer look at the test case here, everything is here is raw Selenium code. For example, the web elements and also the selectors. So there's if the amount of use cases that needs to be tested against an app grows, it'll be difficult as to trace the failure when multiple tests are run. So in such cases, CLine provides mobile elements. So in case of a iOS app, developers use the iOS UI automation framework to interact with the app and also to test it. In doing so, there are specific element names such as UIA element, UIA button, and UIA picker, switch, etc. So what CLine does is it uses these names as it is, and it will interact with the driver of choice specified by the user and drive the UI actions against the app. So any developer who has already got used to using the UI Automator framework and writing scripts using the elements that are listed out in that library will find it easy to use CLine to model such elements, specify a locator to that, and interact with the app. So this is not only in the case of a iOS app, it is also the case of Android. In case of Android, it is Android UI Automator framework, which exposes only one element called as UI object. So CLine uses that definition. In addition to that, it also specifies UI button, UI text view, and it interacts with the driver of choice specified by the user and drives the UI actions against the Android app. Excuse me. So let's see a demo on how to use this mobile elements. So the UI actions which I've just done on the International Mountains app are being done using the mobile elements now. The difference here is instead of just having the mobile elements, I have specified all the mobile elements inside a page object and I've utilized the mobile elements. So this is an automatically generated Java file. If you're curious to know how it is generated, please watch the code generator video. So this particular uh, test page contains the UI table view, the navigation bar, and the UI static text, which I'll be using to interact with the app. The locator for this controls or elements comes from this particular YAML file. So the code generator basically takes the YAML file, parses it, and provides the Java file, which can be used in our test automation. So again, I've specified it as at mobile test, and I want to run this on iPhone. So I'll go ahead and launch a suite. This time, there won't be much difference in the UI actions, but the way we have utilized it is different. We have used the mobile elements, packed it under a page object, and then uh, I've called the specific elements from the page object. For example, I've called the sample UIA table view using the getter method and clicking the cell at index 2, followed by a assert, again reading the elements from the page object. So the advantage here is, um, so whenever failure happens, it will be clear as to which element is not found, or when the error occurred, while whether it is while loading the particular view or while interacting with the particular element. So in case if the UI interaction grows and you need to test different use cases, the specific elements can be added in the YAML file, and the code generator takes care of adding those elements automatically into the particular page object, which can then be utilized in your test automation. So I'll go ahead and run this again. So there is a simulator that has launched. And I'll be clicking the second cell, and it will read the text view and via the elements that are specified under the page called native app test page. The elements that are inside this page. For example, let's take navigation bar, and inside navigation bar, there are the operations that are specific to a navigation bar are being exposed. Click left button, click right button. So in addition to the UI navigation bar, there is also other mobile elements. So this can be viewed under the Java doc session, which is available in SeLion.io. So if you take a look at it over here, we have the UIA alert, which contains click button at index and click cancel button. For example, let's take UIA switch. It has a method called change value, and the default element being the UIA element, which contains all the basic methods related to the mobile elements. So let me move on to a demo on uh, interacting with the Android app using the APM. So the example which I'll be using for it will be APM Android demo test and APM Android page object. For now, I have disabled the iOS test. And for running the Android test via APM, I've spawned a APM locally and also a device with API level 21. So let's take a look at the mobile test for Android. So again, it's a mobile test. which contains the app path specified with the device and the device type being the Android emulator. The way we specify locator here differs. And again, this is a raw Selenium code which resolves to a web element. Just like we just saw in iOS, there are mobile elements for Android also, which I'll be showing it shortly. So let me run this sample. So now the for demo purposes, I'm using the Cylindroid test app. So this app will be loaded first, and a simple UI action will be automated. And that is our test. And similarly, the screenshots are available in this path. So I can just refresh this. I'll be able to see the screenshots. So let us take another look at the example which uses the mobile elements. So this is the example. For now, I'll just disable the test method which uses the page objects. So compared to the previous example, this looks more readable when defining the mobile elements instead of web elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the Cylindroid app. So I'll just load this test app. Then I'm going to click on this EN button, and then I'll click on No button. So this is the UI action which I'm going to automate. So let's run this example. So it will load the Cylindroid test app. You click on the EN button and then the No button. So this will be my APM console, and the test case just finished, and here is the screenshot. So let's take a look up at using page objects for the Android app automation. So instead of having these elements declared separately, I have specified the locators under a page called Android native app test page.yaml under this folder. And the locators for EN UI button and no UI button I've specified it over here. The change here is the platform will be Android. The default platform will be web. In case of iOS, it will be iOS. And in case of Android, this is going to be Android. So for our demo purposes, I'm just going to delete this Android native app test page. I'm going to generate it from the YAML file. So I'll just delete this. So to generate the page, you need to invoke the code generator Maven plugin that comes with the SeLion. What happens is the code generator is a Maven plugin which gets executed at the generate sources phase. So for those folks who didn't view code generator, please view it after this video for a better understanding of how code generator works. For now, I'll just proceed with generating the page and using it with the automation. So when I do a Maven clean compile, so it said it has generated the Java page. And when I get back and do a refresh, the Java file is here. And inside the Java file, the controls which I have declared under the YAML file will be generated, and it will be the and it will be used in the automation. So let me flip this to true and run the automation again. Okay, what happened? It says the class is not in the class path. Okay. So it's going to do the same UI action, but this time it's via the page which you just created. And the screenshots will, as usual, be available with the new test name. This will be our APM logs. So that's it. So that is the demo on how you can use CLine for your Android app automation. So a more detailed um, view of what are the mobile elements for Android can be found in the Java docs. In additional to this, if you're looking for more information on mobile app automation, we still have a separate section on Android app automation and iOS app automation, and also the specifying the YAML file for iOS apps and Android apps. So I hope this video was helpful to understand how we can use CLine for mobile app automation. In case if you have any question, you can always post it as to our forum, or you can always join our Gitter chat. Thank you for watching.